Hi guys, welcome back. I am so excited about the episode today, you guys. There's so much information in this episode. These are topics that I've been researching for years. They're fascinating, they're important, and this is knowledge, and knowledge is power. So this episode should be the super empowering episode. I mean, I want them all to be empowering, but this is the one that is just so much information. So, because it's so much information, and because I am still super nervous with this whole camera thing, I have made notes that I'm gonna have to refer to because it's a lot, and I really don't want to leave anything out, okay? So, what are we talking about? The first episode, I talked about genetic testing and why that's important. Basically to give you the user's manual for your brain in order to best support your body and your good mood, right? Then last week I talked about how you can tell if you have a low self-image, which is important because that's something that we're not always cognizant of, right? We don't consciously know we have a low self-image, but subconsciously it's something, a lie that we've believed at some point in time that plays out in our life. So it's important to be able to recognize those symptoms so that you can put a stop to that. Today, I'm talking about the foundation stuff. And this is fascinating and exciting. And it's not complicated. And in making sure that you're giving your body and your brain the foundation that it needs is not difficult. But man, it's transformative, you guys. So it's exciting, and I'm a nerd, and it's a lot of science, so that makes me happy. All right, so what does your brain need? Your brain needs exercise. Don't roll your eyes. We'll talk about it. Your brain needs really good sleep. Your brain needs proper nutrition. And your brain needs nutraceuticals. Nutraceuticals are just a fancy word for supplement, you guys, but I like to be fancy sometimes, so I use it. So let's start with exercise. Okay, everyone has been told by their doctor or their friend or whoever, or just instinctively knows that it's important to exercise. But do you know why? For me, you guys, somebody can tell me that I need to do something, but if they don't explain the why, I'm not going to do it. It's possible that I have a problem with authority. I'm not really sure. But what I do know is if you want me to do something, you got to explain why. I don't just respond to being told, right? So I'm going to explain why exercise is important. And this stuff is specific to mental health, but I mean, let's be honest. If you want your mental health to be good, then your physical health needs to be to a certain standard. It's depressing when you're in pain. It's depressing when you're ill. So it's all tied in, okay? And I'm going to read some of this because I don't want to forget anything, okay? All right, so why is it important to exercise? Well, it lowers your blood pressure. It helps treat diabetes, arthritis, and it improves mood and anxiety. How does it improve mood and anxiety? Well, anytime that you increase your heart rate, it causes, it reverses stress-induced brain damage. Did you know that you have brain damage from prolonged stress? I didn't realize that. It's frightening. I mean, it's a miracle I can put one foot in front of the other. But anyway, it can reverse stress-induced brain damage by stimulating the production of neurohormones like norepinephrine, which improves your mood and is good for mental acuity. What is mental acuity? It's sharpness. Being able to, recall the words that you're thinking of, being able to think clearly, not cloudy. That's mental acuity. Exercise stimulates mental acuity. The other thing is that the process of exercising causes your brain to produce new brain cells, and that's called neurogenesis, okay? So when I'm exercising, I'm producing new brain cells, and I'm producing neurohormones that calm me down, okay? This is also important in terms of memory and fighting off Alzheimer's because neurogenesis is crucial to fighting off Alzheimer's. So all of these things are what you're doing for yourself when you exercise, okay? So how long should you exercise? It's not really that big of a deal, you guys. 30 minutes 3 to 4 times a week. That's it. We can do anything for 30 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week, okay? And it doesn't have to be like intense exercise. You don't have to go to boot camp. You don't have to like run marathons. You need to start where you are. As a matter of fact, if you're used to not exercising, I wouldn't suggest you do something super, super intensive because you don't want to injure yourself. If you injure yourself, then you won't be able to exercise, and that's just going to make any type of depression or anxiety that you might be experiencing much worse. So start where you are. Do something that isn't going to push you beyond what you're, capable of starting out. And then you only have to do it for 3 to 4 times a week for 30 minutes. That's not that bad, right? So that can be walking around your neighborhood. That can be anything that increases your heart rate, okay? Now herein lies the rub. When you're depressed, you're unmotivated, and it can be really hard for you to make yourself do anything, much less exercise. Sometimes it's hard just to make it through the day. I get it. But this is what we need to remember, you guys. It only takes 10 days. 10 days is all we need. 10 days to make or break a habit. You can do anything for 10 days, okay? 10 days of exercising. Now, I know I just said you only need to exercise 3 to 4 times a week, and that is a fact. You can exercise more than that. But when we're trying to create a habit, we need to do it. If we're trying to break a habit, we need to not do it every day for 10 days. So, even if you are depressed, even if this feels beyond anything that you can do, you can commit to 10 days. 10 days of walking around the neighborhood, or 10 days of Pilates, or 10 days of yoga, anything that increases your heart rate, okay? And after 10 days, it gets easier. With all of this foundation stuff that I'm talking about, if you work all these parts together, you will feel better. You will definitely feel better. And it might seem irresponsible to put out like a definite like that, but I mean, you will, right? So when you're feeling better, it's much easier to stick with something. If I'm doing something and I can't really tell that it's helping, I'm not going to stick to it. You guys, I don't have that type of fortitude. So if I'm going to put my time and energy into something, it needs to be something that I can tell is helping. So when you have the exercise component and the nutrition component and the nutraceuticals component and the sleep component all working together, you will feel better, and it makes it easier to stick to it. All right? So exercise. All right, the next one. We'll talk about nutraceuticals next because it ties into nutrition. So I'm going to list just the few supplements that everyone across the board needs, okay? There are going to be other supplements that you may need that are going to be specifically tailored to what's happening in your body. For example, if you have hyperactivity in the frontal lobe, then you might need serotonin. But if you have hypoactivity, meaning the frontal lobe is not active enough, then dopamine would be what you would need, okay? So each person is going to have things specifically that they may require, but there are supplements that are going to be good for everyone across the board, regardless of what's happening specifically in your brain. What are they? A good probiotic, vitamin B12, vitamin D3, and an omega-3 fish oil, okay? These 4 things are the supplements that we all need, okay? Why? I'm going to talk about the fish oil first because it's like the quickest. So, omega-3 fish oils, okay. If you have issues with depression or anxiety or mental health issues in general, you're going to want your omega-3 fish oil to be an EPA or DHA fish oil. So it's going to be the normal omega-3 plus EPA or DHA. Usually they're both. So usually the products that you'll find will have EPA and DHA in them. I always want to say DEA, and that is not it. But those 2 things, okay? And the ratio matters. So if it's 1,000 milligrams of fish oil, there need to be 500 milligrams of EPA or DHA. or both. And here's the thing about supplements, you guys. All supplements are not created equal. I wish I could say that they are, but they're not. There's not a lot of regulation, or none really, on supplements as far as federal regulation, but there are companies, organizations, I don't know, companies, organizations, call it what you want, where they third-party test to make sure that your research is sound. They test the supplement to make sure that it has what you say that it has in it. They make sure that the facility where the supplement is created is up to code and up to standards. And then if all those things check out, they give you a seal. But they don't just do this one time. They have like random drop-ins, so you really got to stay on top of things. This regulating board is called NSF. When you're buying a supplement, you really want to make sure that it's NSF certified, okay? Don't throw your money away. And by the way, NSF does not mean expensive. There's a Walmart brand, Nature's Made, one of the two. It's NSF certified, and it's inexpensive. So that's important, okay? So when you're using a fish oil, you want to make sure that it's EPA or DHA and that your ratios are right. Now, why would you want to use a fish oil, okay? Fish oils, I'm going to read this so I don't forget. They're linked with increasing good bacteria in the gut, which I'll get to in a moment. They improve cholesterol levels, decrease triglycerides, reduce blood pressure, reduce plaque, and help prevent plaque from forming. They help mental health disorders by preventing the onset or improving the symptoms of mental health. So you can actually prevent yourself from getting there by taking a fish oil. They support gut health and eye health. They have anti-inflammatory properties, all on their own. Now that is huge because inflammation is the foundation for disease. You cannot have disease without inflammation. You want to keep yourself healthy? Keep your inflammation low. We'll get to that again in a minute. So fish oils improve hyperactivity, impulsiveness, and aggression in children. You guys, I used to be popping fish oils with my son all the time because he is hyper. And I love that about him, but that helps. Fish oils improve cognition. It's basically like the WD-40 for your brain, you guys. You have neuron cells in your brain and in your gut. We'll get to that. And information has to hop from one neuron to the next. That space is called a synapsis. Synapsis or synapse? I get fuzzy on details sometimes. Anyway, the information has to hop that space, and fish oils provide a WD-40 for that jump so that it's just clean sailing, okay? They're very, very important. People with depression, when they have their blood tested, tend to be low in omega-3 fatty acids, okay? So that's just one way of looking at this to confirm, yes, fish oils are necessary. Fish oils help prevent these things, okay? So you need your fish oil. The next thing you need is B12. B12 is awesome, you guys. It's great for everything. It's great for energy. It can prevent depression. It can combat hepatitis C. I didn't know that until I did some more research. And it boosts your immune system. This is super, super important. And B12 is something that we start, well, I eat primarily a vegan diet, so I don't get a lot of B12, so I have to take that supplement. But even as we get older, our ability to break down B12 starts to diminish. So we need that supplement, even if we're eating meat and other, sources where it's found naturally. The same with D3. D3 is something that we don't always get in our diet in the levels that we need, and that we lose the ability to break down as we get older. So D3 is another one. Now D3 is amazing. It fights disease, it regulates mood and decreases depression, and it supports weight loss. So that's good to know. All right, so fish oils, B12, D3. Now for the fun stuff, probiotics. All right, you guys, This is going to blow your mind if you are not already aware of it. But, you know, in your brain, you have, let me get my numbers right, 100 billion neurons. Those are the brain cells that we talked about a minute ago. You have 100 billion in your brain. You have 50 million in your gut, in your stomach. You have brain cells in your stomach, okay? That is wild to me. But that's why you've heard people talk about your stomach being your second brain. Like, it legit is your second brain. The neurons in your stomach and the neurons in your brain are connected through the nervous system through what's called the vagus nerve, okay? Now here's where things get super interesting. You have 11 trillion bacteria in your stomach. That might surprise some of you, but we have bacteria all over our skin, all in our body. It's called normal flora, and it's supposed to be there. It's part of what keeps us healthy. The bacteria in your gut that is your normal flora is called your gut biome. The bacteria in your gut biome produces dopamine and serotonin. It actually produces, it produces as much dopamine and serotonin as what is produced in the brain, okay? So if you're struggling with anxiety, which is usually serotonin, if you're struggling with depression, which is usually dopamine, you got to take care of your gut, okay? You have to. Because if your gut is off, then you're not producing enough of those, I think they're called, I can't remember what dopamine and serotonin are, you guys. Neurotransmitters? I think neurotransmitters. Anyway, if your gut is thrown off, you're not producing those chemicals, and so you're not able to support your mood the way you need to. You're not able to fight off depression. You're not able to fight off anxiety. Now here's where the nutrition comes into play, you guys, okay? Everything that we eat has the opportunity to either build that gut biome and make it stronger and healthier, thereby increasing our production of serotonin and dopamine, or what we eat can break it down and tear it down. Now here's the thing about your gut biome, okay? So the entire lining of your stomach is coated in this bacteria, and there's only so much room. Well, certain foods that we eat actually kill that bacteria. So if a portion of your stomach, if the bacteria is gone from it, what do you think happens? That bacteria is coating your stomach lining. It's protecting it from bad bacteria getting to it. Well, if the good bacteria is dead, there's free reign for that bad bacteria. So what that bad bacteria does is prevent the production of dopamine and serotonin, and it also produces chemicals that cause your body's immune system to kick in gear, because those chemicals are not supposed to be there, and your body knows that. Our bodies are incredibly efficient, you guys. They know what's up. Even when we don't know what's up, they know what's up. So your body's immune system kicks into gear to fight this bacteria that is not supposed to be there. Well, if that bad bacteria stays there for a prolonged amount of time, which it usually does once it takes hold, then you have a process of inflammation. It's an inflammatory cycle. This is what happens when your immune system is kicked into gear for a prolonged amount of time. Remember what we said about inflammation? It is the foundation for disease. So you have now created a situation in your gut perfect for disease. Inflammation also creates pain. It creates depression. It creates anxiety. The symptoms of inflammation are prolific. Honestly, I could do an entire episode just on that, and it could be 7 hours, and you guys would hate me, but I'm going to try and just kind of move through this quickly. So, probiotics. What they do is they feed the good bacteria in your stomach to keep it strong, to keep the bad bacteria from taking hold, so that you continue to produce serotonin and dopamine, which is amazing, right? GABA is another one that's produced in the stomach, and it's gamma amino It's not pronounced booty rick, but that's what I want to call it because it's spelled Butyrric acid. Anyway, we call it GABA for short for a reason. Nobody wants to say booty rick. Anyway, it's produced in the gut, and it's responsible for quieting feelings of fear and anxiety. It's another neurotransmitter, okay? So we've got dopamine, we've got serotonin, and we've got GABA produced in the gut when your gut biome is as it should be. Probiotics help ensure that your gut biome is as it should be, okay? Which brings us into nutrition. All right, I'm not gonna tell you guys what you should eat and what kind of diet you should have. That's so personal, and it's also dependent upon, you know, what your goals are. Are you trying to lose weight? Are you trying to build muscle? I don't want to be responsible for that, all right? But what I can do, I can tell you the foods that are crucial for feeding your gut biome, thereby supporting your brain, okay? And you can introduce these foods into any diet, whether you're vegan, whether you're vegetarian, whether you're, you know, okay, well, if you're the all meat carnivore diet, then some of these aren't going to work for you, I'll be honest. But you can have a cheat day where you eat healthy stuff, okay? So I'm reading this because I don't want to leave anything off. So first thing, foods high in omega-3 fatty acids. We're taking our fish oil, but we can also eat foods that are high in this, like fish, fatty fishes, salmon. Oh, I love salmon. Second thing, fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi. Now, yogurt and dairy has been associated with inflammation. So just keep that in mind, you guys. We want to stay away from inflammatory foods because inflammation is the foundation for disease. Inflammation also causes depression and anxiety. So keep that in mind. You can have fermented foods without having yogurt, but it is supposed to help with gut bacteria. High fiber foods. Okay, so here is the thing about high fiber foods. We have probiotics that we take, but prebiotics are also crucial for gut health. And prebiotic is a fiber, okay? So whole grains, nuts, seeds, fruits, and vegetables all contain prebiotic fiber. And they reduce cortisol. Okay, cortisol is the hormone that's released when you're stressed. Cortisol is the hormone that causes brain damage when you're stressed too often, which we can reverse by exercising, okay? So prebiotic fiber found in whole grains, nuts, seeds, fruits, and vegetables will reduce your cortisol levels. Y'all, there are limbs falling on my house right now. Okay, next thing, polyphenol-rich foods, okay? Cacao or cocoa, but cacao is better. The difference is just that cacao is cocoa that has not been heated to process. When you heat things in the process of processing them, it kills a lot of, you know, the health benefits. So if you get cacao as opposed to cocoa, you retain all the health benefits, and it's very good for inflammation and polyphenol, okay? So cacao, green tea, olive oil, and coffee. I love coffee. So polyphenols are plant chemicals that are digested by your gut bacteria. They feed your gut bacteria. That's crazy to me. Like, we're feeding the things inside of our organ responsible for eating. That's wild to me. So the other thing about the polyphenol-rich foods are found a lot in vegetables as well. I will tell you guys, I was not thrilled to learn this, but when I did like 60 days of nothing but a vegan diet, like straight vegan diet, my mind was sharp. I was like Jeopardy sharp, you know what I'm saying? And I wasn't thrilled about that because I didn't want to feel, you know, a ton better eating a vegan diet because I love filet mignon. But I felt great with mental acuity specifically. My iron got a little funky, but All right, tryptophan-rich foods. This is the fifth one. Tryptophan is an amino acid that's converted into serotonin. Y'all, I need all the serotonin I can get. Tryptophan, we all know, is found in turkey. That's why Thanksgiving meal is such a snoozer. But it's also found in eggs, cheese. It's found in leafy greens, sunflower seeds, watercress, soybean, mushrooms, broccoli, and peas. Okay? So you can get plenty of tryptophan even if you're vegan. Now, the only other thing I want to talk about with nutrition is, again, we want to stay away from inflammatory foods. Inflammation is going to mess up your gut biome. It's going to create disease or enable disease. It's going to cause depression, anxiety, all of these things. So we want to keep that as low as possible. And there are foods that promote inflammation. Some of these are going to be no-brainers, you guys, but I'm just going to go through them quickly, all right? Sugar. It depresses me to say that because I love chocolate cake, but yeah, we should stay away from sugar as much as possible, okay? Alcohol, again, not thrilled. Dairy, fatty red meats, food additives like aspartame, MSG, any synthetic chemical that's added to your food is no bueno, you guys. It needs to be something that your body will recognize, a naturally occurring substance. Trans fats, cheese, margarine, processed or cured meats, vegetable oils that are high in omega-6, so like canola oil, that kind of stuff, that's not good. Instead, think about vegetable oils that are high in omega-3s, like olive oil, okay? And saturated fats. Those are the things that you want to stay away from. Now, that doesn't mean you cannot ever enjoy these things, but they need to be like this much of your diet and not, you know what I'm saying, that much of your diet. Because it affects your brain. The whole point of this is giving our brains what they need, right? Sleep. The last video that I made last week, I did not sleep well before, and I'm telling you, I couldn't get it together. I couldn't remember anything. My brain wasn't working. Sleep is imperative. My camera died. My battery wasn't fully charged, apparently. I'm going to get through this really quickly. Sleep. We all know that sleep is important, okay? It's important for mental acuity. It's important for performance. Your body needs it. You're exhausted, and you have no energy if you don't sleep. But what it also is important for is your self-control and your cortisol levels. If you don't get enough sleep, your cortisol levels skyrocket. Your self-control diminishes. It's very difficult to make healthy choices when you're exhausted and you haven't slept enough, okay? How much sleep do you need? 6 to 13. Age 6 to 13 needs 9 to 11 hours. Ages 14 to 17, 8 to 10 hours. 18 to 25, 7 to 9 hours, 26 to 64, 7 to 9, and 65 plus, 7 to 8. Try to stay away from things like melatonin for any length of time greater than 10 days because your body produces that on its own. If you're getting it from an outside source, your body will stop producing it. Other things like valerian root are fine. L-theanine's great. There are plenty of amino acids that you can take that help relax and calm your mind so that you can fall asleep without having to utilize melatonin, okay? So that's everything. Those are the foundations: exercise, sleep, nutraceuticals, and nutrition. If you put all of these things together, guys, you will feel better. And oftentimes, any symptoms of depression and anxiety can be quieted with these things together. So don't give up. If your psychiatric medicines aren't working, don't give up. It's not your fault. Check your foundation. See how your foundation is. If you're doing all these things and you still feel like you aren't quite, right, you can look into other nutraceuticals that are specific for what's happening in your brain, either alone or in conjunction with psychiatric medication, okay? But start with this foundation stuff. It makes a huge difference. All right, you guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you found this video helpful. I know it's a lot of information, but I'm excited to share it with you guys, and I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And I'll see you next week. Bye.